is coming. Now, before all you Q guys start soiling your underwear, we're not talking about that storm. We're talking about something less serious, like a hurricane. But we're here.
Hurricane.
Hurricane. He loves it when I speak Spanish. So let's go ahead and go with that.
Hardly.
Okay. Heck,
We'll get this show started. Don't worry.
the storm is coming. What do? Jump into a rotation.
Marijuana in my soul, marijuana in my heart.
Let's just say that there is a lot of shit going down. You got to get better with that with the button. He virtually has a button right now where if any of us tend to
There's
swear,
no fucking point in. Oh wait, there's no fucking point in hitting the record button now. There's no point in recording this show now because we already done the intro stuff. There's so much shit that goes into like being a podcast in here that it's hot.
yeah, even though Carlos talks a lot of shit about Marvel movies, that does not necessarily make him a computer geek. I thought it was a cool thing to start listening more Marvel movies.
No, I'm not cool though.
But the problem is, there's no truly religious characters in Marvel movies. Maybe that's the issue. They haven't been, besides
Doctor Strange. Master of the
Ego is
Art.
God.
I don't
Right?
give a shit about the art.
Oh, Ego is
Yeah, and Thor is
oh, yeah. So if Thor was a god, does that mean that there's nobody who's religious?
well, it's not just this.
Oh,
That's just part of like that's the thing. It's like that's why I like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange started as an atheist,
yeah.
and then he started to learn and grow, and then he found out, holy shit, there actually is mystic arts, and I should be a master of it. And then he became a wizard.
That's right.
Sorcerer.
Because he embraced Eastern religion.
Yeah, I embrace Eastern philosophy.
That old time Eastern religion. Because that is where cannabis actually started.
Yeah.
As far as the worldview is concerned,
I like this. Are we gonna get historical now?
in prehistoric times, that's where it was. It was stepped in Eastern Asia, and of course, the good Hindi folks always believed that their God brought it down into the mountains.
So it's really that God.
Shiva, exactly right. Yeah.
I did. I
Maybe
did.
you're our
I did name my company Chillum, by the way.
Chillum, by the way, is getting all sorts of great publicity lately. And by the way, Chillum is at 1714 7th Avenue, Ybor City, where it all began. And that is where we are right now, doing this special non-fucked up edition of, of the rotation.
All right, I feel like I gotta explain like what's going on right now.
If we're confusing you, it's because you're big.
So we have an interview with Karla Hernández, Lieutenant Governor, and we were just gonna replay this, and like and that's the reason why Keno's not here. Keno thought we were gonna have a day off, but Gary was like, "You want to go on?" And I was like, "Damn it, I'll do some time with you, man. No problem."
Don't do the time if you can't do the script.
So it's looking like like everything's going great with Chillum and whatnot, and I'm very proud of everything that we've accomplished here. But we're here to talk about marijuana, not mushrooms.
Oh,
So
we can talk
I
about
like
it faster if you like.
I like the whole idea of going into the history. I love it, and yeah, let's. Do you have any other fun facts? You are a bit of a historian of cannabis, aren't you?
Yeah, that I am.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of inspiring research. Like, for instance, that there was false news about cannabis going back 2 centuries, talking about the fact that people were saying that the word hashish is actually another version of the word assassin.
Oh yeah.
Because they claim that there are people who being paid assassins who are being given cannabis to make themselves believe they were invincible and therefore become fantastic soldiers. That is not true. I would venture to say that if they use enough cannabis, they said, go out and kill kill that guy, you'd say, "Give me a minute, man. Okay,
Yeah,
I just
it's
gotta
like
finish this dab." And then
what did that guy ever do to you, man? What did he ever do to you?
that's basically, I think,
Make love, not war.
if I could think of any substance that adds towards the non-violent view of the world, I think that would be cannabis, and that's why I believe it's God's gift.
I believe that cannabis is pretty amazing too. I was actually like I like broke down talking to a customer the other day where like she was in here talking about mushrooms and whatnot, and she was like, "Have you tried these products?" And I was like, "Yeah." I went and I like broke down. I was like, you know what? To be honest with you though, like cannabis is my plant. If there's any plant that I feel is more synergistic, at least with my body, I think with the human body, I would say it's the cannabis plant. There's nothing more beneficial. And looking at the history of cannabis and the way that it's been in most medicines, we're literally sitting next to a copy of the Emperor or something, how it was in most medicine, most food, most of our stuff, and, and how that was basically a big part of our health before we got this thing that's now called modern medicine,
And modern corporate greed. Let's not forget that.
modern corporate greed too.
At one point in time, corporations were called governments, and the history of hemp really did change nations. It was integral to the history of Europe, the economy of Europe in the Middle Ages, and that's why nations actually fought over the right to use it. In particular, France and Russia and England. It was the reason why we got involved in the war of 1812 because the English couldn't do crap about growing hemp that well over in England. We were growing it for them here in the States, and we were considering ourselves neutral in the war between the French and the Russians. And Napoleon really got this. He had made some kind of a deal with the French and Russia not to deal with England, and that we were actually working with England, actually sending them rope and things of that sort. And that is why France attacked Russia.
Really?
That is the way it is. You look at it in some of the old literature with the war. Was,
I am not a historian.
all right,
I did not read Tale of
it was the best of times.
I heard that.
That is about as much as I remember from the entire book because I fell asleep after page two, I think it was. But sometimes those books are so good. No, seriously, I read the whole thing back to back. I think I read it backwards. It made more sense. Like,
And that's a lot of and how I probably should like out.
if they're good, I mean,
I don't know. It's,
yeah, sometimes we get some comments that are really mean spirited, which is fine because these people obviously need more cannabis.
they've been good today. There's a lot of long comments. Workplace protection, Florida. There's no like, there's nothing there. Workplace protection, Florida. I'm assuming workplace protection.
That's correct. I would think that it is a big issue. We have been championing it for years. We've actually gotten bills filed the last three sessions on a workplace bill, which basically says that if you are a person with a disabling condition, therefore you go under the Americans with Disabilities Act, you should be getting accommodations at work, and therefore you should be allowed to use it off hours so that you can function properly and so that your performance will increase. It's all about the performance and not necessarily about whether or not it's cannabis or not. Because you can actually have a prescription for Oxycontin or what. Even if you're in construction, right? You see the guy on TV talking about how he gets uh, he gets constipated because of all the Oxycontin he's taking. And I worry about his construction sector. Maybe that's why Disney's Opera House looks the way it does.
But the doctor says take your aid.
What's that?
The doctor says take it on the Oxycontin network. That's why he didn't do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's awesome. So I think that we also have to discuss one other big thing in regards to the cannabis industry is that when I was working at the business at the very beginning, I was concentrating strictly on patient access to medicine. That was the ultimate goal. That was the objective. That was the mission. That was the vision. I didn't think about the corporate tsunami kind of creeping up behind us, taking over. Yeah, I was listening to one of of my favorite podcasts, Blunt Business with Matthew Stein, who's a Floridian, and he actually was talking to Zach Fleming, who's the new CEO, all about the situation here in Florida. Matt, if you're listening, fuck you. I think you should be talking to us because we're on the ground floor and we don't have a profit motive for everything that we're talking about. I'll grant you your show is called Blunt Business. I get that. But
show
not that.
or what?
He does have a show. He
I
has,
got some there.
he puts out a lot of videos, but most of them are not.
No, it is pretty like when everything started with the back in the day. I reached Amendment Two, saw it as like something like California, Florida. So I actually ended up literally moving from California back to Florida. Yeah. And and it's crazy how if you read Amendment Two, it really does give good guidelines. You know, it's pretty broad. Right?
I think people at Oaks today, I'm kind of wondering if you're skipping out on tuition.
I paid you have to pay up front.
Makes sense.
But no, and I thought something like California could exist because I mean, it's literally Amendment Two is just or whatever it's called now. Um, basically
Good old
said,
days.
basically said that these entities could exist. These entities can grow marijuana and caregivers. Right? So it's essentially breaking down like that. You know. But yeah, it got taken by Florida's government and people hurting.
Well, I mean, there's
And probably not even honored. You know?
words matter, and generally the way that you word an amendment can be used for you or against you based on how the judges look at it. The whole basis of the defeat of the home grow bill was the fact that Amendment 2 delineated the word use in MCC. How does that make any sense to you? Not really. It doesn't to most people. But basically, what they're saying is that use involves the ability to cultivate the plant. And it gave that right to the MMCCs, and therefore they can't just give it to the patients. They can't just tell you, say that, no, you can't home grow because the amendment, the constitutional amendment, says the use belongs to the MMCCs. So they're the only ones who can actually cultivate. And that's how it got. If it doesn't sound crazy to you, then well, talk to a lawyer.
So, so essentially, I mean, it's pretty evident that what's happening in November is pretty real.
It is. Because those are the folks like the governor who actually appoint the judges to make these kind of interpretive decisions.
Yeah,
Plus the fact that particular court, it was pretty much appointed by mostly Scott and some by some by Chris, and also others by the Satanists. Now, I'm not going to knock down DeSantis for at least 5 minutes. We've got other things we got to go after him right now.
I'll just put up the caption. Got a lot of captions. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, absolutely.
Um,
That's the official translation from the Italian.
but that it really is important. Like, I really like as far as like the part I play on the show, other than engineer, whatever. Um, like I'm just stoner or whatever, and but like
Jose Stoner.
I have to no,
Jose knows what you need.
I have to pay attention more than ever on who to put into office. We really could lose candidates for that. So yeah, very very.
Yeah, I mean, and the candidates that we've been showcasing now for the last couple months, and we still have about 5 more weeks to continue doing that, and we will. Are quite a diverse people. We're looking at a lot more Latinos, a lot more people in the LGBTQ community, a lot more people who are younger, as in the Gen Zers, and I'll grant you, yeah, but they're still in that range where they know everything. And then, of course, as you get older, that kind of like falls all away. That's why millennials, you don't know shit anymore. Not as much as you think you do. It's not being in control of everything.
Am I a millennial?
Are you a millennial?
So I was born in '83.
Are you an echo boomer or you're just a Slim Shady?
I like I like stand up.
But we'd be more than happy to get on Blunt Business and give you the grassroots look at Florida because they had a beautiful program with Zach coming. And Zach, you're welcome to come on too because we'd love to hear what you have to say because we have watched the revolving door of CEOs of Sotera over the last 7 years. And we'd like to see what you plan on doing different. And I don't think it involves getting everybody chewing gum or having a executive in the vodka industry or the Coca Cola industry and that whole whole Wrigley thing. Oh,
You're going crazy.
yes, absolutely. That's what it's supposed to be. But MSOs, they have control of the business end of it. And unfortunately, Florida's laws have made it so you have to be big business in the industry. But folks like Carlos, I mean, I remember when this whole thing started out, I was getting a photo calls from across the country saying, I want to open up a mom and pop in Florida as soon as they have medical cannabis. And I said, well, we can, but it doesn't look that way because they are treating the situation so you're going to have to be a millionaire or have access to a millionaire in order to get your business up online. And that is the way it is right now. I mean, even just this one minority license that we've been talking about soon, they made it harder and harder even just to put in an application. That's why there was only 12 applicants for one single minority license here in Florida because you had to be 5 years in the industry. You also had to be a member of the business class. And a lot of people in the business class who were farmers in the 1990s were retiring. In fact, this was one, Mr. Glenn, who I understand is a great individual, about 69 years old, which I think is wonderful. It's not understanding when you sit down and
I had to decide whether or not
well, I think that you do you. I think Carlos is a category in and of himself, and Jose knows it. Those are the two things you have to take away. But the whole idea is that we have a millennial, we have a minority license which has been semi-awarded. They offer them an intention to award because of the fact that out of these 12 people, one person had the $164,000 for the application, plus at least half a million to go ahead and have people help them work on that application. Have been 5 years in the business, have a $5 million bond that they take to post, and they and the other 11 applicants who also did all that stuff said, wait a minute, we think we deserve it because they're all filing for the state, not giving them the. I don't know how many people are now. They'll be up to 11, and I guess that you will have 11 licenses getting that license going forward. They won't get out the other 22 licenses until the 50 license is established. That is what they've said in the past, and that is why I don't believe we're going to see new licenses being seen. No matter how much people are saying, get ready, it's going to happen. Yeah, it will happen, but you really have to wait.
I have been waiting for a while.
Yeah, people ask us why we do so heavily in politics. Politics got us into this damn thing. This is prohibition. Energy politics is out of it because the politics are screwing up the rules and regulations and the bureaucracy coming use the plant for themselves, then we have to fix it. We have to dictate via our vote uh, who get in office. And you can go to the normal smoke the vote campaign and take a look at one making sure you're registered, but also make sure you vote there and you know who all the candidates are, no matter where you are in the country. We're spending as much as we possibly can. Go back and take a look at some of the archives we have on our show on YouTube. We have have later on today with the complaint from the Lieutenant Governor, with Charlie Crist, has given a very, very fresh perspective. Wonderful, really intelligent. This is somebody that enthusiastic from that sector. She's not a politician. And she understands the concept of, yeah, we're talking about responsible adult use, not just under 21, and it will be good to the state, it'll be good for tourists, 120 million tourists. You can't use it right now. You don't have reciprocity. You're losing out on all that tax money that's not coming out of your pocket. And that's where we stand as far as that. We will make it happen. We will make it happen. We will get workplace protection. We will get medical protection. So you can't be kicked off the transplant list, kicked out of the nursing home, because you're using the medicine that works for you. So we're trying to expand into the medical conditions that make you eligible. So the doctors don't have to do a huge amount of mental gymnastics to get to card and putting themselves at risk. Doing that now. So we're trying to help them with that. Those limits they put on medical get rolled back because they're not based on reality. They're based on somebody else's idea of what's good regulated. And basically, and we're also going to work on drugs in a way that they will accept it. Now, here there's going to be a ballot initiative. Ballot initiatives, they've made it so tough. You know, that that's really close to it. I say I call on myself. But they put $10 million. They put $10 million into their.
They're not supposed to say that.
Well, you can say anything you want. Right? I have that button.
Oh,
The
truly?
and they're not as much as those grassroots on the other side of it. That said, we want to see MSAs and the local community. And when you hear somebody on the radio or a podcast like someone talking about how Sarah is also engaged with the local community business, smaller to other places, like have often with you still have to develop a technology what they say is exactly how exactly how it is. So it's been flipped, guys. Now that most of us are saying that are now in their 60s, don't trust anybody and not to run the business because the profits become more important than patients. They can't coexist. They can't. But they'll make it more important to have more profit and because that's how you end up with all these products that make concentrate. Let's just say that the difference between a product that makes the concentrate and a product that is actually made from flour. The difference between great cup of coffee and a vitamin. I don't think that's still out of taking a vitamin. Hey, no joke. I'm sorry, can I use corporate product name? I will give you no royalties. I will buy the product good. I will buy a can drink with caffeine. That is really good. I've noticed. And you like like
I'm trying.
a blind tiger, you know. Well, when Charlie Crist came over on our show, he, I walked in the front door and the first thing he said was, "Guys got me to Red Bull over here." That's the first thing I got Red Bull stuff to do. I mean, neon cross on the other side of the room, which is in your hand. It's not a place where you buy red pill. It's kind of down the street from the bodega.
That
There you go. By the way, if you want to push your product, feel free to sponsor our show. This costs no money, and you can tell from the production values, you don't put a heck of a lot into this. No, we just don't have the money because we're doing this out of the goodness of our heart, as opposed to these things in our wallet. I wish we had really actually. Oh, you mean kind of like space show and
like every time I'm like,
oh, I understand. Anyway, we have jawbones for the last, I don't know, just basically around a bit and still know what's on our mind, which until we get it straightened out, we're not 100% certain. So whatever comes out of my mouth, the reason why he has that. He usually does not use it for himself. He uses it for somebody else. So that's kind of like,
no, when I I shouldn't be exposed, but that's just funny.
you're like a government affiliate, just
Oh, this one here is
okay. Uh, I walked into a bar. He says, no, I walked into a taxi. He says, got room for back here in the front seat. Taxi guy driver says, yeah, the guy says,
yeah.
it's an anti-alcohol.
Sorry.
So we like to go straight to, that's a spiritual music. So without further ado, oh, yeah, it's a new, no, that's all right. We'd like to go ahead and replace you our interview with the new Lieutenant Governor candidate, Miss Karla Hernández.
So, it is very awesome and an honor to be able to bring you this special episode of the rotation today, because we actually have someone who has been making waves through the political headlines over the last month, and that is Karla Hernández-Mats, who is the lieutenant governor candidate for the Democratic Party in Florida. And so, Karla, welcome to the rotation. Happy to have you in.
Listen, I am super proud so much. It's always a pleasure to, be here and get to talk to the community and people about issues.
Well, we are so happy to have you. When it comes to the community and that we represent, with medical marijuana patients and cannabis users in the state of Florida, people are really politically active and they want to hear from candidates. They want to have candid conversations around the issues that are important to them. And so we're very happy to have you join us today. For those of you who may not know, I'm gonna do quick introductions. I am our executive director, Christopher Cano. I'm here in the DC area right now. And then, of course, back in our home studio in Ybor City at Chillum Mushroom and Hemp Dispensary and Glass Gallery is our deputy director, Carlos Ermita. Carlos, how you doing today?
Doing good. We're very busy with everything going on with the mushrooms right now, but happy to take some time to come in. I literally stop helping customers to come in and talk to our new lieutenant governor. So I'm the luckiest man in the world.
I love how you speak that into existence, right? Like, this is going to be our next lieutenant governor.
Has to be. Has to be.
Because for the past 4 years, we have seen an administration that has really left people behind. and it's sad. You know, Ron DeSantis's administration has 4 years to get our medical marijuana system running to where sick people can get safe access to affordable medicine. That is not the reality that patients are facing today. And a lot of other things seem to have taken up his attention. And a lot of it is political theater. We saw it when he pulled together Matt Gaetz and John Morgan several years ago, and he was doing political theater over the right to us to have smokable flower in the state of Florida as patients. But since then, we haven't heard a peep from him. As a matter of fact, he says he can't stand the smell of the marijuana flower, which he so wanted to have legalized. And instead, what we have seen is political theater from him time and time again, whether it's bashing USF students for wanting to be safe and wear masks at one of his press conferences, or more recently, illegally human trafficking refugees from Venezuela, from Texas, using Florida dollars and shipping them up to Massachusetts. And I got to say, Karla, Carlos, myself, you all are all descendants of immigrants, all Latinos in the state of Florida. How did that make you feel when you saw that?
Listen, it was very bad. One of the things that makes Florida so amazing is that we're so diverse. The nation is made of immigrants, and we come here. My parents came here to give me this American dream and make sure that I gave back to the community as well, which is why I became. See what he's doing and wasting taxpayer dollars doing it. I mean, 12 line item that he put in his budget this year so that he can play games with people's lives, that he is the leader of the state of Florida. It's horrible that he acts in the amount of hate that he has. 50 immigrants that are seeking running a country that is authoritarian, that doesn't provide them with the things that they need, and they're coming here them on a plane, spent taxpayer dollars for political stunt. And in the 1960s, there was something called the reverse freedom rides, where racist South would send African American families to the North, promising them on housing and jobs, and very similar to what happened with the Venezuelans. Telltale sign for us. I mean, this man has no ideas. He has no one. He's antiquated, and he's trying to take us back, not just with his immigration policies and these, also with how he thinks he can treat women when he wants to take away our freedoms and about our bodies with their families. And so, we have to fight for women's choice, for immigrants. We have to fight for cannabis. I mean, there's so many things that are on the line, and we know that he's neglecting communities. He's trying to distract us with things that aren't. We talk about real issues like affordability. Affordability is another big topic. So I'm thrilled to kind of people. I'm gonna take you on the road. We're gonna do this more often. But yeah, now and there's a lot that the community needs to know about.
So Carlos, I know you always bring a non-political point of view, but as you become more and more frustrated with how you see politicians treat medical marijuana as a political football, what are your thoughts on the Ron DeSantis administration over the past 4 years?
I mean, yeah, here's the thing is that I find myself as a business owner, I really do find myself economically thinking more conservative than most people. And I hate that if we're going to vote for economic policy, we have to fucking deal with somebody that's like so rude, so obviously evil, so like, Karla, I spoke to you about my ethnicity, that I'm Cuban earlier in the show, and like as you know, a lot of Cubans are for DeSantis, and my father loves me and my sister so much. My sister's a lesbian, and yet my father is absolutely convinced that Ron DeSantis is for homosexual rights. And he's absolutely convinced that Ron DeSantis is going to legalize marijuana. And like, there's cognitive dissonance there. You know what I mean? Like you've got to, you're fighting logic, essentially. You're fighting illogical people. Like you got to get illogical people on your side. And
Yeah.
my thing is like, this is why we need Charlie Crist, and this is why we need you as lieutenant governor, and this is why we need to change things here in Florida, because like these people are controlling us without thinking, without
Yeah.
any real reasoning behind it, through scare tactics and rhetoric. And we need somebody logical in there. And like, I don't know what is your plan. Like how do you get like I don't want to talk shit about conservative people. I've kind of been doing that already. But I mean, how Karla, can you tell me, how can you get somebody that's suffering from cognitive dissonance to want to make the right choice and vote for marijuana legalization by voting the right administration in? We voted for marijuana legalization in this country, or in the state. We voted for medical marijuana in the state at a record number, and we still haven't really gotten it. You know, we've got it in a pricey system, and like, how can we get the right people in to control our marijuana system?
That's a great question. And, you're absolutely right. There is cognitive dissonance and it's also very methodical. I don't know how aware you are in our school board and school board races, but think about this. And this is something that's the Cuban community, because we know that the Cuban community has been fleeing communism, come here to the United States, and has been a very important part of a lot of community development and just the prosperity of our state. But acts like a wannabe dictator, his tyrannical attitude, the communities, the way he treats people, his cruel and inhumane but not only that, I want to give you, and especially maybe this is a talking point that you can share with your family members and other folks that you know. He is on a rampage. This is what happened in Cuba, right? You keep communities from knowing, ignorant communities, right? You make sure that there is not access to knowledge. He's
my I'm sorry to cut you off, Karla, but my father was a political prisoner in Cuba. He was put in prison for 11 days simply for saying, "I don't know this Castro guy's that like he said something to that effect. I don't know this Castro guy's all that he said he was." Right? He just said that at work one day, and he was thrown in prison for 11 days. Like, I'm not saying that honestly, I've read what communism is, and I know that what's happening in Cuba isn't exactly communism. It's more of a totalitarian system. And that's what DeSantis is trying to do. Instead of saying, this DeSantis guy, like, you can't say gay in school. You know what I mean? They're burning books. Like, the guy has his own police force. Like, what's going on? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're absolutely right. That's part of the conversation. I think that that's exactly what's on, like, secret police, where he's arresting people who thought they had the right to do something. He told them that they had this right. He's banning books. He's censoring. He doesn't want us to teach with authenticity and truth, and the characteristics of things that have happened even in Cuba. And I think that if people understand he's doing his position on things, how he is oppressing people. He gerrymandered 2 African American congressional districts this legislative session. That means, wow, these are 2 African American congressional districts that can no longer have our voting block to represent them. He doesn't want people to have power. Andrew, when he's removed people, he's removed the sheriff, school board members. Again, these are all types of dictatorial types and actions that we've seen in the past in Nicaragua, in Cuba. And I think that if you are able to have a conversation like that with your family, with folks from, Central and South America, the Caribbean, that are here as refugees, justice, and of course, the American dream. I think it makes a lot of sense if you just point, we didn't catch these things when we were living in these countries. Let's not mess it up. Let's make sure that we things as they're happening right now, and that we see the red flags. But it really is. And we know that he does not. He does not like gay people, the LGBTQ plus community. He was very um, focused on making sure that, and it's having the exact effect that he expected it to have. 2 weeks ago in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, a resolution that has passed every year, October, as LGBTQ History Month. That's all it is. It's always been that way. We've all of a sudden this year it failed. There was only one school board member that voted in favor of it. Everybody. So, teachers who have worked so hard to, not only give children the best access to, high quality education, have wanted to make sure that that every child, no matter their ethnicity, their zip code, their gender, their race, get access to, high quality education and feel safe. And now we can't keep, we can't create safe spaces for children. And it's horrible. If you treat public education in that manner, where you're taking things from people, you're taking away funding public education, you have to know that the person not only is, number one, wrong, and what the priorities are of that person are obviously not in line with building community. And so I think that those are real conversations that you can have, and that other people in our community.
So, Karla, we know that you and Charlie are the right people for the job. We know DeSantis isn't. What is it once you guys, not if, once you guys are elected, right? What are you guys going to do to reform the marijuana movement here in Florida?
Well, look, we want to make sure that it is fully legalized. We think that folks should have access, to, free from pain. If it's a medical marijuana card, expunging anybody who's been penalized for something that should have never been, criminally charged. I mean, there's so about the system and the prison system and how it's failed Black and brown communities. There are things that all communities do, right? And marijuana is one of those things. There's no difference in race. Folks have been using it. Folks need it's part of just the way of life for a lot of people. And so not only is it legalized, fully legalized, but that we also help people that have been through no fault of their own. We have to make sure that we expunge that as well.
That's awesome, Karla. I don't know if you noticed, because we were like smaller boxes just a second ago, but Gary's here now.
Yeah, finally.
Oh, geez, what's going on with
Having successfully fought Tampa traffic, I'm finally here, and I'm so glad that you're here, Karla, because we really do see. First off, si se puede, absolutely. We can do this because it has to be done. I mean, it starts out as a political thing, but now it's becoming practically a necessity, especially over the last year. I mean, when DeSantis came into office at the beginning, he had a lot of goodwill. He built up a lot of goodwill. We all said, well, maybe he is the good guy. But as time went on, we didn't see all the videos. Exactly. We didn't see all the videos of him in the Tea Party. We saw one the other day where for some odd reason he was spitting on a disabled person when he was in the Tea Party. These kind of things are popping up right now. But wow. He talks about freedom, and yet he talks about taking away freedom at the same time. Just for instance, I mean, you were Teacher of the Year in Miami-Dade County. He's a product of the Broward County Schools, so you can't blame him for too much.
I don't even know where I am right now.
But the constant saying that, parents should have more say over the curriculum than teachers and principals. We're supposed to be teaching your kids and at sometimes teaching the parents too. I've noticed that in a lot of Hispanic communities that especially when I was living in Ohio and other places, that oftentimes the kids would come home from school and they'd tell their parents what they learned at school. And sometimes the parents would learn from that. But here they're saying, no, parents always know more than the teachers do. And I find that to be a kind of a dangerous thing, a dangerous way to place things. And how are we going to come back from where we are right now, where we have teachers going to school board meetings and telling them, no, this is how you should be teaching our kids. These are the things you should be teaching them, even if these things are blatantly false.
Gary, thank you so much for that question. I think it's so important what's happening across the entire state. First of all, teachers have always been allies with parents. Know that it takes a village, and that the village is us being allies and working together to improve of our kids, right, of our students, of your babies. And so, that's why PTAs, student associations, have existed, because we've always wanted that collaboration and that communication. So it's crazy idea that it doesn't exist or that we don't want it is absurd, because tradition that all schools have a PTSA. What we're seeing is MAGA extremes are, far extremist groups that are coming into our school boards, and they're creating disruption because they're trying to change the narrative. They don't want to talk about real issues. They want to turn them into something fantastical. When you have, you're absolutely right, because parents for a long time have been learning with their kids, right? We from different countries, from different places. Many times they're even learning the language, and so we see develops, and we saw it in a major way when we were in the middle of the pandemic, and when we could see the parents, we could see into their homes, we could see them taking notes, we could hear them asking questions, became super, really relevant. But we have a governor who education. We're 48th out of 50 states, 48th in the nation, and so he wants us to be cheap labor. He doesn't want to give. He wants to ban books. He wants to censor teachers. I mean, did you know that he does, and he's trying to change the narrative so that we don't say the word slavery, but call it involuntary relocation? I mean, get out of here with that. We're truth tellers, and we have to say the good, the bad, same mistakes that our ancestors have made in this country. And so, but he did, because all he's thinking about is being in the White House. That's all he cares about. He's campaigning because he wants to be in the White House in 2024, and we can't let him do that. So I mobilize. We have to organize. These are our issues. Everybody knows that there's so many things that we get our people out to vote, and we need to do that. It's 2 weeks. I keep on telling people, absentee ballots, early voting starts in 2 weeks. People need to know what the issues are. People need to know who the candidates are that care about their issues. It's important that we get the message out.
I think we should also get more into the churches. I mean, I know that there's been a kind of a sway from the Catholic Church to the evangelical churches, but still, I mean, we've always had souls to the polls for many years. But I think that we missed in going into all these iglesias that house these people that obviously need to have more education in regards to what is going on and who's to vote for when you're eligible to vote. And these people are just being missed, I think. And we need to get more of them to vote.
No, I think
Gary, you're so cute when you speak Spanish.
Gracias a Dios.
We
Gary,
need to get into the iglesia.
One thing that we really need to address is the fact that the culture wars that Ron DeSantis is looking to lead, it goes much farther back than any of us, right? And the people he's looking to appeal to are playing this long game. And when I say that, is that public education has been the main driver of at least 2 to 3 generations in this country where we don't treat each other with racial hatred, right? Millennials, I can say, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Z. Those three voting blocks are the ones. Gen Xers had especially the earlier ones dealt with integration of their school system. But for millennials, for a lot of us born in the '80s, like myself and like Carlos, we didn't grow up with those racial divides. We didn't grow up with separate water fountains. We didn't. At most, we still had forced desegregation through busing. But this long game that they're playing by attacking school boards, by attacking teachers, by attacking public education, and attempting to reduce the faith that we have in those institutions is just their way of being able to say, oh, well, these things don't work, or oh, look, making teachers an enemy is wrong, and it in so many ways infuriates me. Carla, you as the head of the teachers union, I know that must strike you. I mean, Ron DeSantis is anti-union and anti-teacher, so I know he's already had 2 strikes in your book. So tell us a little bit more of how do we combat this long game of trying to really devalue education in the state of Florida and devalue teachers, in which he's trying to do. But at the same time, he loves to take credit for bonuses that he can give to teachers that come from money that Biden sent him, right?
Right. People that we're 48th in the nation in terms of our teacher pay. Florida has vacancies. That's 9,000 classrooms without a permanent teacher. We're doing permanent self-inflicted wound. He has created that. He has made it, just to be in a profession that so many people care and honor. But unfortunately, he's like you're saying, and that's why Charlie's a genius. He not only has a big in building people up and making sure that we're stronger together, but he also, if this governor is going to attack education and people who I believe on this earth, because teachers are just amazing, if he's going to go ahead and attack them, then I'm going to embrace them. An LG who represents people, who represents a working class, who has been a freedom fighter, and who cares about education and making sure that kids have a high quality education on the ticket. And so that's what I do. I teach. And so to earlier, my role is very simple. I'm going to be in full that I teach people about what's on the ballot, the issues that we're hearing, the ability, right? The insurance costs are rising. People are being priced out of their homes. People are economic issues, not these fake culture wars. Nobody's indoctrinating children. Like, this is all fake stuff that he's creating because he has nothing, wants to create fear and fear mongering and play these psychological warfare games with people to address what's really on the ballot. And talking about affordability, talking about making and do caps on the rising insurance costs because people are being priced out. Making sure that people understand that we are pro-choice, that we want people and autonomy and the freedom to decide what they're going to do with their bodies. Class citizens, these are real issues, and so we have to keep those things on them. And that's why I'm his running mate, because I'm here to talk about issues. I'm here to educate folks. The right message gets across, because we have to support our public schools. We have to support our teachers. Public education is the democracy of our communities. They're the cornerstone. If we get everything else right, because we're going to build, strong economies, strong children, who, whatever it is that they decide to do, are going to be able to take care of us one way or another. Me and you, but are going to get old, and that means that our kids are going to have to take care of us.
With you, look at our next governor. Always say you're one heartbeat away.
Now we got it. All right. This is why we're at the end of I appreciate that man. This is really like the whole administration. What is going on right now is not really not. I mean, we have no business everything. So I suggest you go ahead and look into it. In the meantime,